Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 232 of the Terminal City FC podcast, part of the Area 51 Sports Network. Josh here, joined alongside Nathan Derek, as per usual, talking all things football, live on the Area 51 Sports Network Twitter and Terminal City FC podcast official YouTube, and we're listening wherever you get your podcasts. So, the Vancouver Whitecaps, still unbeaten in 7 games, and some positive news regarding their future. But before that, let's get into all the pitch stuff. Last weekend, a 1-1 draw against the San Jose Earthquakes, a heavyweight tilt, possession versus structure. It felt like a draw was deserved for both teams.
Yeah, obviously San Jose at the time was top of the league, top of the West. Definitely a difficult team to break down. They're also playing in their own building. It's also one of the Whitecaps. It's only their third away game of the season at that point. And I think San Jose kind of punched the Whitecaps in the mouth to begin the game with a very, very early goal from Preston Judd in the 4th minute. It kind of served to act like a bit of a wake-up call, because after that, it was all Whitecaps.
Yeah, down on the transition, Whitecaps get caught. Preston Judd, of course, who's been one of the hottest strikers in MLS, beats Yohei Takaoka. And
that was
that,
the first touch of the game, too.
Yeah, possession. It was kind of tough for the Whitecaps to break down the structure and the defensive game of the Earthquakes, and San Jose were really dangerous on the counter, but it didn't take until deep into the second half where Sebastian Berhalter slotted it home.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't understand how much of the buildup starts deep with the Whitecaps through Sebastian Berhalter, and even to a lesser extent Kubas being more the defensive side of the two, but especially Berhalter for everything going forward. You're seeing it now. We always knew he was a special player and he was an important player, but this year is on a whole other level. I think goal creations, he's one of the top in the league. 5, including yesterday's game, which we'll talk about. I think he's got 5 or 6 goals in the season. I don't know if he's ever had that in an entire season, and we're only 10 games in?
Something like that. Yeah, it's only May.
Yeah. So the importance of his player, the commitment of the player, even when he has a game where he's kind of frustrated a little bit, still seems to find a way. And that kind of seems to be the mentality of the Whitecaps in general, where even if things aren't working out, they're still trying to unlock themselves and find different avenues forward.
Yeah, Berhalter in that game, the set pieces weren't great, but he made up for it in open play with the goal. Ryan White looked isolated. Bruno Caicedo was having a tough time against that San Jose right back. I guess we got to temper expectations for Bruno Caicedo. Let's not forget he's only 20, 21 years old.
Not only that, but with people getting on Bruno Caicedo, you also got to remember that was only a second start.
Yeah. So, but overall, it really was a battle down in San Jose. Credit to the San Jose Earthquakes back line for counter pressing against the Whitecaps press. And it was a deserved 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
For both sides.
You got to give San Jose credit for their structure and their organization. I don't know necessarily. It's tough to get the read on San Jose going from what last year was to this year. It's night and day in terms of improvement. But you got to wonder, are they for real yet? Is this sustainable, or at some point is it going to break a little bit, right? Can you keep up this pace for 10 months or whatever it is going to be until you get to the end of the year? I don't know the answer to that yet, but
probably won't find out till after the World Cup.
That's exactly it, right? And even after the World Cup, when you're getting into Leagues Cup and games every 3 days after that, it's still going to be a little bit difficult to tell. The one thing is it's making the whole Western Conference in general very entertaining to watch.
Yeah. Vancouver and San Jose are the top teams in the Western Conference and the supporters shield race. But even got teams like LAFC who are still not to be counted out, but are currently struggling. And
That's going
of
to
course, you can't.
change. That's
Yeah,
going to change. They
that's
just
going to
got
change.
knocked out of the Champions Cup. It was a difficult run. We know with the Whitecaps going on to that run to the final last year, and just how how depleted your squad is after that. LAFC will bounce back. You'll see them even I think before the World Cup break, and they'll be fine. One thing that was interesting in this game, though, is just for how structured San Jose was and how difficult it was for the Whitecaps to get into the final third. They still tripled the number of touches inside the box that San Jose had, which is surprising when you think of like how difficult it was once they got there.
Yeah, I mean, it shows that the build-up play was good. It was just that final pass, final touch,
Yeah.
whatever, and it was a very tight game and one that the Whitecaps felt like they could have had more, but take a point on the road any day.
There was also a little bit of a change in this one. This was the game that just before it happened, Thomas Mueller came down with the sickness. He was taken out of the lineup. Badwall was moved from the right wing into the central area. Emmanuel Sabi, I believe, was the player that was drawn in to take over that spot. So there was a few different changes in the lineup right before, and you're having to adapt after you've practiced for an entire week one certain way.
Yeah, but there wasn't much rest or much time to train because
No.
it was off to Dallas, and this one hit early, like very early. Dallas did hit the post, and then Tristan Blackman takes down Logan Farrington in the box. And then Peter Musa, one of the top scorers in MLS, converts the penalty. But again, credit to the Whitecaps for not getting knocked down by that. They bounced back and tried to play their game. It was very physical. It looked difficult. Jesper Sorensen said so after the game. And Sebastian Berhalter, again, with a goal, just a screamer from outside the box.
Yeah, beautiful shot. I mean, you can go and take a look at it. It's kind of what we've come to expect. He gets a few of these every year, these absolute screamers from 20, 25 yards out. But the thing that interested me in this goal actually was Czech Sabali. We're talking about the wingers that we have on the left and trying to replace a Jadon Nelson and an Ali Ahmed and find wingers that are dynamic, like how Ahmed was, where you have multiple tricks up your sleeve. Caicedo has pace and cutting in down the byline. AZ cuts inside at the edge of the box and then tries to do something with his right foot, his left foot. I don't even know if it exists sometimes. You know what those two players are going to get you, and defenders are starting to understand it very, very quickly too, and they're kind of negating them a little bit because they're a little bit one note. I'm not saying they are one note. I'm just saying that they need to start showing different aspects of their locker. Czech Sabali is one of those guys that is trying to show different things. He struggles with it, but he's actively trying to. And this goal was created through a different play because we don't normally see Sabali playing on the right. We usually see him, on the left. We usually see him on the right. And his ability to cut back inside to get not goal side of his defender, but into a clear passing opportunity for Berhalter was heads up. Sabali, I don't know what to think about him yet because he has moments where he does really, really well, where he's really, really, that intelligence shows through, but it's not consistent. Thankfully, this was one of those moments where it shined.
Yeah, he has moments so far. Again, he's trying to adjust to the league in a new environment, but we haven't really seen much to be wowed by Czech Sabali yet, and especially given his salary. More on that later. But last night, other than
the one thing that's interesting, and I want to point out before we move on, Caleb Wilkins of, I think it's the third sub, a bit of a chat with him on social media. He was talking about what made Sabali so lethal when he was with Mets. And what the 19 goal contributions he had in a single year was the fact that he was playing in a two-striker system. He had more options on who to unleash that ball to. And that's not something that the Whitecaps do. So that could be an element of where that struggle right now is coming from.
Yeah. And I just feel like since he's a guy that can play all four positions, I think he's naturally a forward, like a striker. So when you play in a two-striker system, it's a bit different.
It could very well be, but it does bring a bit of a question about the wide players that the Whitecaps do have at their possession. You can even throw in Badwall and Cabrera into that mix as well. Obviously, those two players aren't wide players, but they have played there when they've been called upon. Cabrera was called upon for about the last 20 minutes, half hour of this game.
Yep.
I do still wonder if it's just a matter of trying to figure out that secret sauce of what makes things work, because they did lose some key players on those edges. It goes back to the coaching staff as well, and I think that they're actively working on it. We can see it. We can see it in the games, because how often do we end up seeing one of those wide players taken off at halftime as well? It's not quite for how good they're doing this season, how the fact that they actually have more points at this point this season than they did last season. I do feel like there is still a little bit of a struggle, and it's nice to know that for as good as they're doing, there's still, it looks like, visibly room for improvement.
Yeah, especially down the wings, as wingers can be inconsistent. Of course, having Ryan Gauld back eventually, that would certainly help, but yeah, it was interesting to see Sabi taking off for Bruno Caicedo at halftime. Oh yeah, and let's not forget the second goal was created by Eddie Ocampo and Brian White, but it was credited as an own goal to FC Dallas's Urhoghide, Ozaz Urhoghide, and Whitecaps had the lead heading into halftime. But the start of the second half, just like the first, Logan Farrington with the free header beats Yohei Takaoka.
It was a beautiful goal.
Yeah,
it was a well timed header. It was a strong header, and he still had a lot of work to do to redirect that. He put a lot of power on that header as well. Sometimes you just gotta stand up and clap for the other team when something goes off and it looks really, really well. And that was a good goal. Farrington had a good game. He was also a bit of a pest. He had to get warned a number of times by the referee, and eventually it did lead to him getting a yellow card and them taking him off, because I think they were worried something may happen with him later on. But he had a good game.
Yep.
I also think that when they took him off, that was a bit of a turning point for FC Dallas, because it did disrupt them a little bit in how they wanted to play. Just because Farrington, so much, by desire or not, did go through him.
Yeah, a lot of the play from the Dallas attack went through Logan Farrington and that connection he has with Peter Moose up top. But, credit to the Whitecaps again for not letting that get to them. And then they just, tried to continue their game. And then guess who? Sebastian Berhalter with another screamer. Michael Collot, the FC Dallas goalkeeper, made an absolute mess of that, but it was still a good goal.
It kind of looked like it went right through his fingers, didn't it? Right? Like it looked like he was set in the right position, but it just, didn't actually get behind the ball. It was more on the sides, waving it by. World Cup, man. I'm scared what happens with Berhalter. Do they keep him and just let him go on a free at the end of the season, or do you actually do the smart business thing and sell him when you can
sell his values high?
Yeah,
which I would assume that is in the cards, and it's more likely
for a team like the Whitecaps. You got to think that is the smart thing to do. It's head and heart, right? Head and heart. Which one is going to overrule?
Yeah, similar to what the Pedro Vite thing last summer. And of course, Mauricio Pochettino is a fool if he does not call it Sebastian Berhalter to the
He's
World
got to
Cup.
be on the short list right now. I mean, I know a lot of teams are actually putting out their full teams right now. Bosnia has already put out their full team. New
Yeah,
Zealand released their full team yesterday. Canada has a 55-man
yeah, but they did not
list,
disclose it.
but they didn't release it. Canada's actual team will be announced, I think, in 14 days on the 28th of May. So you can check that out as soon as it does. But if Berhalter is not on a list and pretty high up that list, more than a few questions should be asked.
Yeah, I think he makes the World Cup squad for the U.S.
I do too. I
He
honestly
should.
do too.
And another man of the match performance from Sebastian Berhalter. Uh, 2 goals, and he pretty much led the way. And I should also mention that it was nice to see not just Thomas Muller back on the pitch, but Ranko Veselinovic back on the pitch the first time since July. Um, Welcome back. He's been sorely missed.
Yeah, I've missed watching Ranko for a long time. You got to remember last year, it wasn't just Tristan Blackman that was doing a Defender of the Year performance throughout the beginning of that season. Ranko Veselinovic was having a Defender of the Season performance as well before he went down injured. So to get him back, yes, it was only maybe a brief 5 minutes or so, but the mental part of that is so big, not only for us as fans watching and getting to see this player who right now I think holds the record of current players and matches, but just for his teammates as well, to finally get a guy like that back with the senior team, getting minutes and getting back to full match fitness is really, really important to see. The other one I want to talk about is Jivan Badwal. Last couple of games, we've seen him play in that number 10 role, and you've seen kind of a mixed reaction as to his whether or not he fits in that role from fans. And I've been trying to pay attention a little bit more to him when he's in that role and trying to figure out, why is he the guy that's going there rather than someone like, say, a Kenji Cabrera, who pretty much is a natural number 10. The one thing that Badwal brings you is he might not be the most creative player in the mix, which unfortunately does hurt players like Brian White who are trying to get the ball. But Badwal is a guy that's really, really involved in the play in terms of holding the ball up, distributing wide, and that's why you need your wide guys to actually be dangerous. Helping out in overloads on the sides. We saw that numerous times in this last game, and a lot of that work is done off the ball, which sometimes we tend to miss. The other thing he was really, really involved in was in drawing fouls. The number of fouls Badwal drew in the last game, I think it was more than any other player that was on the pitch, including at least 2 of the yellow cards that were awarded to FC Dallas players. He does have a role in this team, and he's growing into it as well. I think the one difficulty is Badwal feels like he's a natural number 8, very, very much a central midfielder. And the Whitecaps don't play with an 8, which makes it a little bit more difficult. You've got, a double pivot with Kubas and Berhalter. You've got an understudy in Larraz who fits really, really well into that role. And then you have that number 10 role, which Mueller can play in, Gold can play in when he's healthy. And when those guys are out, I think Cabrera is still learning. I do like him. And when he came on in the previous match in that role, I did like what he was able to do. But they need to find a space for Badwal as well. And I think that's the struggle right now is, what do you do with a guy when he just might not fit the system of the team? He's still a really, really good player, a really, really good young talent, but you need to find that space where he can not only just exist, but thrive. And I think that's what they're trying to do right now. And they're really, really trying. Like they are really, really, really high on this kid. And I think that's rightfully so. It's just trying to find out exactly where he was. I'm going to go back again and talk about how I kind of relate him to the early days of Sebastian Berhalter. Berhalter comes into the Whitecaps and they have this raw talent. They don't really know exactly where he fits. Does he play in the midfield? Okay, if he plays in the midfield, is he an 8? Is he a 6? Maybe he is more defensive. Let's throw him on right back. Maybe he should be higher up. Let's put him on the wing. We can remember how many positions Berhalter played in that first, let's say, 2 years before he really, really solidified what is his position, which allowed him to kind of grow and then become natural and now be one of the best there is in the league. Josh and I had a special episode last week where we talked to Sasha Kleschenstein about Berhalter and about Jivan Badwal and that mix and whether or not it might be beneficial early in Badwal's career to give him an actual position. And Sasha was kind of a bit more philosophical on that in saying that, no, let him kind of try all these different areas right now because you don't need to solidify this young in his career. I think Badwal, I think he just turned 20.
He just turned 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
You've got time to do it. Berhalter didn't solidify what position he was until he was about 23.
Until like last year or two.
Right. I think Badwal could grow in that 10, even though it's not his natural position. But in terms of how he draws fouls, in terms of how he helps out in overloads on the sides, there is benefit to him being in that role. If you can add in the creative element, then you've got a guy who might more naturally be an 8, be able to be more adaptive into the system that the Whitecaps actually play.
Yeah, he's naturally an 8.
Yeah, that's the difficulty. When you don't play with an 8, what do you do with that guy, right?
Yeah. Given his creativity, his defensive work, the work rate, I think that's the position of the future, but there's nothing wrong with him being tested around. Sebastian Berhalter was playing in multiple positions.
Exactly.
At his age, so there's different skill sets there for him to develop and work on. So once it all comes together, that experience will be valuable.
Not only that, but we talked the other day about what seems to be the Thomas Mueller effect on Kenji Cabrera in when he doesn't have the ball. Yep. I think you can also say it's the Thomas Mueller effect on Jivan Badwal when he doesn't have the ball as well. And what we're seeing is, in particular, when he's becoming that extra body, when there is that play on the flanks between, say, fullback and winger. You bring in that extra body, you create an imbalance, and you're able to win out.
Yeah. When I spoke to Jivan a couple weeks ago,
that's right.
He was on this podcast. He said that he hinted that Thomas Mueller has been like his biggest teammate. But of course, he likes them all, but he's the one that mentors him the most. So it's no surprise.
The nice thing overall, this is now four games undefeated on the road so far this season. So they haven't lost yet on the road. They stay in Texas. They will be playing Houston this weekend, so they can continue to see if that holds true.
Yeah, Houston Dynamo are next on Saturday. They lost 3-0 to Real Salt Lake yesterday.
Yeah.
Have a 6-0-6 record. So 6 wins and 6 losses, a -5 goal differential, and currently sit 8th in the Western Conference.
One thing, they're a little bit shy on goals. Yeah. Whitecaps so far this season have scored almost double the number of goals that Houston has scored. They've only got 17 in 12 games. I mean, it's better than, say, 1 a game, but it's not better by a whole lot. 1.3-ish around there.
Yep.
But again, you're playing in Texas. You're playing at home to Houston. And Houston, I mean, they have won 3 of their last 5. They're not a bad team.
Including beating LAFC.
They are a playoff team right now. In fact, them and Dallas are almost neck and neck where they are. I think only a single point separates them in the Western Conference.
Yep. And Whitecaps have not really been Houston has also been a tough place for them, given the environment and the heat. but I think they won there last year, if I'm not mistaken.
I
And
can tell you right away. Yes, Whitecaps won there back last January, a 3-0 win. Goals from Sabi, Bearhalter, and White.
oh yeah, last summer, and some names to watch out for Houston. Mateus Bogus has been a Caps killer when he was with LAFC.
Mhm.
It's always someone to be weary of. And Houston, I think yesterday they played a 4-4-2. Jonathan Bond, I believe he's a former Montreal goalkeeper. Um, he has also made some good saves against the Whitecaps, and Hector Herrera
Yeah.
um, has also is also someone to watch out for. He did leave Houston a couple years ago, but he came back this year.
The one thing that I'm wondering about this game coming up on the weekend is if we might see some changes to the back line.
Yeah,
I think they've done really well in that was it Blackman, Laborda, Ocampo, Johnson, but they have played together for so long that now that you have this stretch of 3 games in 6, 7 days, I do wonder if you need to start giving
rotating
some
out.
players a bit of a break. It's just a matter of who and where. Can Veselinovic play 45 minutes? Give him a run out in the first half. Bring in, say, a Blackman or a Laborda for the second.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
I
know
think that's
Georgievic is injured. I don't know if Gershmenkov is ready for a start. We'll have to
he was on
see.
the bench last night, so it's
Yeah,
possible.
but I do feel like for as strong as that backline has been, they become just need a break, and this might be an opportunity and a game to do it, especially when you've just played 2 games in the last 3 days.
Yeah, some players need a break. Tate Johnson especially feels like he's played every game. I wouldn't be surprised if Gressmankov gets a start
Yep.
on um, Saturday. Andres Kubis was taken off last night.
Yeah.
Uh, not look good. Jesper Sorensen didn't really have an update on him. It's more like
Sorensen did seem, even though he didn't have an update, he did seem a little like there is something. Andres Kubis is not a guy that goes down to the floor unless there is something actually happening as well. He was taken off at that moment when Mueller came in. It appeared like he was holding his knee, and it doesn't really look like anything in play. Like it was kind of innocuous, but you worry about that because knees and all the different things that can go wrong. And
I'd rest him for Saturday and play like Oliver Laraz or put Badwall back in the midfield.
I mean, obviously today it's going to be a full assessment. They're going to make sure. Hopefully, it's nothing serious, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with maybe putting him on the bench at least to start the match.
Yeah, and Jesper Sorensen said it's too early to know if it's an issue. It's concerning not just for the Whitecaps, but for the Paraguayan national team too.
That too. American national team might be holding their breath a little bit too, being that they have to play Paraguay.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the matchups I'll be looking for in the World Cup. Berhalter and Kubis.
I know.
Likely will
Kind of
face
opposite each other. That just seems weird.
But yeah, Whitecaps Houston this Saturday. I expect some rotation. I expect Mueller to start since he's back from his illness.
Yeah.
Probably some couple changes on the wings and hopefully some changes to the back line. Big news regarding fixtures. Cavalry has been drawn for the Whitecaps in the Canadian Championship, and you might be wondering, how are the Whitecaps going to host a game in the Canadian Championship with BC Place being used for the World Cup? Well, let's throw it back to the 2000s.
Yeah.
Let's go back. They're going back to Swangard.
Yeah.
And
they're also going to be playing the first leg. Normally that doesn't happen with a higher seeded team, but due to scheduling and just the way it kind of works out and trying to get Swangard's a very, very busy place. Whitecaps 2 play there. Vancouver Rise play there. TSS Rovers, men and women's play there. You basically just got to take the spot that you can find. So yeah, they'll be playing the first leg. Second leg will be back in Calgary, probably a few days later. I think either the 12th or 13th. But
Well, at least yeah.
That'll be the beginning of Whitecaps defending four-time champion, four-time defending.
Going for 5.
Champions. So yeah.
Well, I mean, tickets are going to be hot for this, given how small Swangard is.
You know what? There's already been some big surprises. I don't know if surprises, but upsets for sure in this tournament.
Yeah,
both Toronto teams are out.
Yep. We talked about how last week how Toronto just fell apart against Atletico Ottawa. So July 8th, 7:30 p.m. Whitecaps Cavalry at Old Swangard Stadium. It's going to be a great atmosphere for that game for sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure people will watch on the lawn that's across from the bleachers
in the parking lot.
Yeah, people do that for Rise games.
Yeah,
and yeah, I can't wait to be at that one. So the big off-pitch story. Yesterday, a meeting between the Whitecaps, all levels of government, Victor Mongalani, the FIFA vice president, and CONCACAF president, and he's Vancouver native, and the MLS vice president have talked about the Whitecaps' future in Vancouver, and the reports of negotiating a deal of a 4 to 5 year of an MOU for a deal on BC Place.
Yeah, look, it's positive news any way that you want to look at it. The fact that you're finally getting basically every actor that's involved in this in the same room, in person, face to face. That's nice to see. You got to wonder how big of a hand Victor Montagliani had in this. Obviously, it's something dear to his heart. The fact that he's from Vancouver, he was head of Canada Soccer for a while, and now head of CONCACAF and FIFA vice president. But the language, the initial language was confusing to me. The fact that it is an MOU for a 4 to 5 year deal. You have this long-standing existing relationship with Pavco and BC Plates that goes back to the early 2000s. It's essentially, let's say, 15 years. What are you signing an MOU for? You already have the relationship. Just sign the renewal. That's what I don't understand.
It's very
the MOU seems to be an unnecessary step. Now, fine, maybe it's not because you're bringing in other people that are sitting at the table, but it seems like this, even though the outcome of this meeting, people are stressing that it was positive. They're also stressing that it's only halftime, that there's still more to go. We're hoping for some sort of statement today. There was one released earlier. I know Ken Sim released it. The mayor, or not the mayor, the BC minister of of sport also released it. It's a letter that's signed by the 3 First Nations.
The Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam, and Squamish First Nations.
City of Vancouver, all 3 levels of government, Pavco. About saying that they're wanting soccer in Vancouver. Now, that's great. I mean, that doesn't seem to be like it's been lost on everything, but there was no MLS on this signature. There was no Whitecaps in this signature. So while this looks like, I don't know, good PR, I don't really know what it says that we didn't already know.
Consistent themes were alignment, structure, and motivated. And this is a positive step in the right direction, given that the talks were positive. Jeff Mallett and Axel Schuster were in the room. A surprise guest. Wonder who that is. I would assume that it would be part of a local consortium, because
the surprise guest in the room actually was Gregor Robertson, former mayor of Vancouver and current federal minister of housing and infrastructure.
And the local MP of my riding.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of surprising. I thought if anyone would be here representing the federal government, it would have been Van Couverton, who is the minister of sport. And former Olympic athlete. And especially when you got to think with the amount of work that he's been doing in increasing the funding for Olympic sports, getting the new soccer national center and the money that's involved in that, he's been really, really active in his portfolio. So he's the guy that I kind of thought, if anyone, would have been him. I mean, I guess,
I
Vancouver
guess
native
Gregor Robertson, since he's from
Robertson,
here.
yeah, makes sense too. But Vancouverton's from BC, so yeah, I was a little bit surprised with that.
Yeah. It's been,
Also, Vancouverton, the name Vancouver, it's in his name.
yeah, very positive news that we've heard regarding the Whitecaps' future in some time. Obviously, you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but I like the sound of it. I like there's progress being made, but it seems like there's still a ways to go, as
The
the
one
MLS
thing
VP said
is,
they're at halftime.
if they can get this 4 or 5 year deal signed with BC Place, I think that makes Vancouver suddenly a lot more attractive to people that actually have the money to keep the team here, because you need 4 to 5 years to build a new stadium. That's
Yeah.
what you need. And that didn't exist. So if you had a team coming in here, you had this MOU for land. Not the greatest
Right.
land, but it's land. And also you had the option of different areas to evaluate, but you didn't have the time to do it. This would give you the time. So it's another one of Axel Schuster's steps, right? The 30, 40 steps.
30, 40 steps, whatever it is.
It's not the silver bullet by any means, but it is nice, and it does move the needle on the Whitecaps just being just a little bit more attractive to outside investment. It still doesn't change the price in terms of, if you're buying the team, you're also got to build the stadium. That's a very expensive endeavor, and you better be in for the long term, because you're not going to be making money for a while. But it makes it actually possible, because it wasn't before. Let's be honest. It just simply wasn't.
Yeah. It's been 18 months or whatever, and still no buyer. But the fact that so many people are coming together and trying to actually, make things happen, it's a positive step. And, just as many people have been reported, that we've also heard that, yeah, there are local groups involved, looking to be part of the solution to keep the team in Vancouver. Nobody knows who they are. Nobody publicly knows who they are, but we shall see. And it seems like talks will continue for possibly the next few days or weeks.
I mean, if you got like the MLS VP, you've got Montagliani back in town, people like that, they're wanting to get this done while they're here. So, yeah, my guess is that they're probably back at it today.
Yeah, I would assume so. And probably won't hear anything for, I don't know, maybe.
I don't want it to have it, the whole idea of the PR thing where it's taken out with the trash on late Friday. I think if you have good news, you want to get it out as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
But you also want to make sure that you've done your due diligence. So if it ends up being a late Friday thing, fine, I'll take it.
It probably will, given this is Vancouver.
Yeah, exactly, right? But it's 50-50 right now. It's 50-50. It's definitely not something I would put a bet on, but I mean, right now, this is a city starved for any sort of good news when it comes to the Whitecaps. So we'll take it, and we'll hold on to it dearly.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. And for the first time in weeks, months even, I feel a bit relieved. Not out of the woods yet, obviously, but
yeah,
I feel a bit relieved.
There's also been I don't know if you want to call it a petition, but there's been a letter signed by about 400 different downtown Vancouver businesses talking about the economic impact if the Whitecaps did leave. They've basically signed a letter urging support in keeping the club in the city. I know the downtown Vancouver, was it BIA?
The Greater Vancouver Board of Trade, the downtown Vancouver
BIA, I think it was. Yeah, they've got a petition out that you can sign. So, I mean, you want to put your signature on things. There's about 4 or 5 different things you can put your signature on.
Yeah, I still got to sign.
It's there.
I was sent the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade letter or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, and yeah, pretty much businesses are saying yeah they want him to stay. And talk, it would be terrible economically, especially for like bars and restaurants, even stores, if the Whitecaps leave town. Yeah, even the downtown Vancouver CEO spoke about this as well. Yeah, people are coming together and hopefully finding a solution to keep the Whitecaps in town forever. But not out of the woods yet. But this is a positive step in the right direction.
Final news, I guess, with the Whitecaps and also MLS in general is the MLS
Salary guide.
Players Association has released the spring salary guide. You can go and check it out. It's published
I'm gonna
online.
bring it up here.
Whatever your favorite Whitecaps player is making in terms of base salary and guaranteed compensation. Obviously, Thomas Mueller tops the list, just over $5 million a year in guaranteed. Ryan Gauld is behind him, and the surprising thing to me was number 3 was Chuck Sabali.
That's surprising, but not surprising given
yeah, fair enough.
Legal, and he's an AFCON winner, 1.4 million in base salary, a bit more than Emmanuel Sabi. And if you take a look at Sebastian Berhalter's contract for those watching, 480K obviously deserves a raise.
Yeah.
But Oliver Larraz earns a bit more than him.
Really?
Which 496K.
The thing is, you know what? I'm not surprised about that. When Larraz came here, he was a free agent. He can sign whatever you want. So he is signing a contract based on what is the average in MLS today. Berhalter's contract was signed in what was the average in MLS 2 or 3 years ago.
Yep.
So that's not surprising to me. But what it says is that if Sebastian Berhalter was to sign a new contract, with his importance, with how high he is on the potential MVP list, man, he's a TAM player at minimum.
At minimum. Andres Kubis is now at 1.153 million on his new deal.
Yeah, which is nice to get him bought down a little bit.
Yeah, Jodrick Poupe on loan, 490K.
Sean Lau, wow.
Yeah, 776K. Barely played.
I mean, injuries suck.
Yeah, but not a good look.
There's nothing you can really do about that. That one it sucked all around. And I bet you he'd probably be the first to tell you.
1.388 million, and I would not be surprised at some point Whitecaps part ways with both of them. Probably.
Yeah. Interesting thing is when you take a look at the top 10 highest salaries in MLS, Thomas Mueller's not on that list.
Nope. And obviously Lionel Messi tops it.
He tops it. Son Heung-min is second. Yeah. And then it kind of goes down from there. You got to wonder, though, if Griezmann comes over or, when he does, where's he?
He will. Yeah. He's probably going to be the top 5.
I got to think he's got to be really close to maybe what Son is making.
I would assume what Son makes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but interesting that the salaries from the Whitecaps, some surprises. But Sebastian Berhalter's obviously been viewed by many as the best value contract in the league. But if he chooses to stay in Vancouver, big raise, massive raise, because he deserves it. Rounding out the top 10, also, I'm going to bring it up here as well. It's also worth mentioning. Rodrigo De Paul is third at 9.6 million in base salary.
Cool.
Interesting to see. Jonathan Bamba 5.5, Hani Mukhtar 5.4. They make more than Thomas Mueller. Miguel Almiron hasn't really been at his best since he came back.
No, but I can understand why that contract was signed, especially given to what he had done in MLS before he went over to Europe, and that the memory of that.
Yeah, so. And what he did at Newcastle as well.
Yeah.
But Thomas Mueller does not make the top 10. You would think when he signed that he would, but He does not.
You know what? Good piece of business for getting him for what they did.
And plus, he really wanted to come here. So
Yeah, which I mean, credit to the player for. I mean, yeah, he's getting paid stupid amounts of money compared to you or I, but good on him for realizing what his value is in a very particular economic landscape and deciding, you know what, I'll come here for a little bit less.
Yeah. Speaking of MLS stars, James Rodriguez's time at Minnesota United, it felt like a breeze in the wind. Quick.
I almost think that it was a bit of a fever dream. I'm not too sure if it actually happened.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that his debut as a Minnesota United player came with that 6-0 Whitecaps win.
Yeah, that's true.
When Minnesota were here. And apparently, it looks like the deal was through to June of this year, with the option through to December of this year.
Yeah. Now the both camps are saying that he's basically leaving because he wants to prepare for World Cup.
Yep.
I mean,
he's joining the Colombian setup.
He didn't really play at all.
Yeah, he barely played. It's, two assists in 5 matches, 130 minutes played. Vanished like a fart in the wind.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kind of a waste of everyone's time.
Alice, we hardly knew you. So long. Thanks for all the fish.
Yeah, thanks for coming out to BC Plays, I guess.
Yeah.
People are going to be like, in a few years, oh, yeah, that's right. James Rodriguez played.
You know what it's going to be? It's going to be a trivia question. Do you remember the name of this Colombian player who played in MLS?
Yeah.
Right? And only the soccer sickos are going to know.
Yeah, it's going to be forgotten. And I guess what a waste of everyone's time.
Whatever. I mean, Minnesota got to enjoy it for a brief amount of time. Now I guess they got a sizable roster spot open they can look to fill in the summer.
Yeah, let's wonder see what they do. All right, over to Europe. Well, Chelsea didn't lose for once, and they actually scored a goal. This was the battle of the mid-teams, Chelsea and Liverpool at Anfield, and this team is allergic to not conceding early. Ryan Gravenberg beats Philip Jorgensen like 6 minutes in, just a bad goal to give up. But before halftime, this free kick just fooled everybody. I don't know whether that was the intention by Enzo Fernandez or was it intended for Wesley Fofana to deflect it in. But the free kick from Enzo Fernandez just slides past everybody and slides past Marmadashvili. Good goal, though. It felt like if this was intended, well done. If it wasn't, still well done. Both teams at these point of the games had spells. Like Liverpool hit the post and crossbar like 3 times at least. Chelsea did get the second goal, but Cole Palmer was offside. The guy can't catch a break right now. Just hasn't been the same for months. Very worrying. And of course, I'm still worried that he'll end up like Dele Alli. But
yeah. That's an interesting comparison.
But he has the attitude and the footballing abilities to get back to his best. Saw a little bit of that against Liverpool, but not enough, unfortunately. He's not the player that carried Chelsea the past 2 seasons. Let's put it that way. Malo Gusto. Reece James can't come back soon enough because this guy at right back, he's a good squad player, but when he starts consistently, he's just not good enough. Then I'd be open to selling in the summer. Kept getting cooked by Liverpool, especially on that first goal by Gravenberg. And speaking of fullbacks, Marc Cucurella, left wing. And he did well. This guy can play left back, right back, center back, and now left wing. Speaking of like Steven Badwell and Sebastian Berhalter playing multiple positions. At Chelsea, Marc Cucurella. Very similar to James Milner. A guy who could play multiple positions. Maybe Cucurella will be playing into his 40s at Brighton. Good on him. And he's a leader of the squad. He's got the skill set. And he's a smart player too. And credit to Uriel Hato for holding it down on left back. And how Levi Colwell was missed. That leadership, that IQ at the back line. The back line looked stable for the first time in months. And Wesley Fofana looked better with Cole next to him. No coincidence. And João Pedro, too bad he didn't score, but his hold-up play, his running, his dribbling, his touches, on point. You take the 1-1 draw against Liverpool at Anfield, and FA Cup final this Saturday against Manchester City. Crazy to think that Chelsea have made a cup final.
Yeah.
That's what I guess it's what we do.
Although you could say that about Spurs last season with how bad they were and they ended up getting a trophy.
Maybe Chelsea will follow the same path. Yeah. Maybe. And then Spurs at the Bridge, I believe, on Tuesday. So Callum McFarlane has been playing a back three, pretty much. And it seems, and the candidate, the leading candidate for the next Chelsea manager, plays a back three. And that's Xabi Alonso. It's reported that he is the favorite to become the next Chelsea manager, and talks have been positive. He's keen, but he needs assurances that he will get full control. Give it to him. The guy knows what he's proven at Leverkusen. Didn't come into the best situation at Real Madrid. More on them later. And he can't handle this young team. He can't get the best out of Cole Palmer again, and it would convince Enzo Fernandez to stay. So, and it seems a bit likely now that Arne Slot, it's pretty much confirmed that he's staying in Liverpool until next season. You think Xabi Alonso would go there, but no job.
Yeah.
So Blue Call can't mess this up, because I'm getting flashbacks to Julian Nagelsmann, Luis Enrique, Victor Osimhen, Michael Olise, and Mike Mignon. Linked to these guys, but no deal. Get the deal done, please. And it seems like one of the directors, Dave Fallows, former Liverpool executive, is getting more involved than he wants Xabi Alonso. And then it's also being reported the players want Xabi Alonso. So if the players want him, you might as well bring him in.
I'm not surprised.
Given his skill set as a manager, this is a disciple of Pep, a disciple of Mourinho. This isn't like a Liam Rossinier who wants to age him in. This is a guy who knows tactics.
So long as he comes into a situation where he's not battling player egos, I think he can thrive.
That's not the problem. It's boardroom egos.
Yeah, well, that too.
Ownership egos.
Yeah.
So bring him in, give him the ingredients, let him cook. Other names interested in the manager job. Areola is still an option. Cesc Fabregas and Oliver Glasner have been discussed internally, and of course Marco Silva is still on the radar, which he should be. So bring in Xabi Alonso, and hopefully if Chelsea win the FA Cup this weekend, that'll convince him even more. And speaking of Spurs, oh dear. Well, they're not out of the woods yet.
No. It looked pretty good just after halftime with Matistel getting a beautiful goal, a nice individual effort to put them ahead. But, some young players, right? A little bit rash. Goes from hero to villain in the space of about 30
minutes or something like that?
25 minutes even.
Yeah.
Giving away the penalty. Yes, it was a penalty. I know Spurs fans feel that there should have been a penalty that went the other way as well at one point, but this is one of those seasons where Spurs just can't catch a break. They haven't been awarded a single penalty all season so far.
Which is crazy.
I remember it happening once in Pochettino's years where they did not get a penalty for an entire season, and it was just like you could have a player bleeding out of their eyes from a foul inside the box, and they still wouldn't have been awarded a penalty. Spurs player at that point probably would have been given a yellow card for blood on the grass. So they get the draw, they get the point, but it is only 2 points now above West Ham, who also weren't able to get the job done on the weekend. Thankfully, Spurs are still on the positive side of that balance, but it is going to be now between one of them for that final relegation spot. Everything else has been decided. Wolves are down. Burnley's down. Burnley actually let go. I think it was Scott Parker who was managing them. Who had got them up. Championship teams, you need a manager. Get Scott Parker. He's got 2 different teams promoted from that league. So
and then relegated again.
But still work to be done. So Chelsea is next, as you said. I don't know. Maybe Londoners give us a break. Because a win would settle things down so much. Now, obviously, playing Chelsea is not going to be an easy thing to do, but I feel like, Chelsea, like you were saying, there's blood in that water. Things haven't been working out all that well for Chelsea. Spurs have turned things around. They've gotten 7 points out of, I believe, a possible 12 with De Zerbi. Before that, Igor Tudor got 1.
Yeah.
1 point.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Tudor.
Yeah, don't worry. We're gonna try and make that happen collectively for everyone.
Exactly.
Just like one of those Men in Black things in your eyes. I think there is a possibility, at least, to get a draw, but they need to go for the win. They need to push Chelsea. They need to press Chelsea. They need a performance out of Richarlison like he had done previously in their previous match against Aston Villa.
Charleston always turns up against Chelsea.
Sorry?
Charleston turns up against Chelsea, even when he doesn't score.
If they can have an away performance like they did in Birmingham against Villa, perfect. That's what I want to see. Because if they can get that done, depending on what happens with West Ham, that could be it. We'll have to wait and see.
Depending on if Chelsea win the FA Cup, they'll be hung over. So
yeah. West Ham's next match that they have to play is Newcastle, away to Newcastle. So that's a difficult one for them as well.
Yep. So relegation battle is interesting. Let's go to Scotland for a bit. This Scottish League title race is absolutely wild, and it gets even more wild that Celtic got a controversial penalty in the 99th minute in the match against Hearts, who they're battling the title with.
Yeah.
And the Scottish Premiership will be decided on the final day.
I mean, it kind of feels like everyone is really trying to work against Hearts. This just is part and parcel of that. 9 extra minutes, and then the penalty that late. It is what it is. It sucks. And it was a VAR call as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't really see it all well, but
it also makes a big news because of it wasn't the only big VAR call on the weekend. There was also the one in the Premier League too, right?
Yeah, the Arsenal West Ham one. I'm getting a lot of hate for this, but there definitely was a foul on the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But Declan Rice was bear hugging one of the West Ham players. That one should have been called.
The Arsenal West Ham one, yeah. Hey, I as a Spurs player, it felt really weird to be hoping that. I kind of wanted the draw because I don't want Arsenal to win, but I also don't want West Ham to win right now either. Just between those two players, yes, it's a foul.
Yeah,
but there was about 50 other fouls in that box.
Because Arsenal.
So which one do you call? Which one?
Arsenal love their corner kick WWE tactics.
I know. I think this is going to be one of the things that is talked about in the off season amongst referees is how do you handle all the stupid stuff that goes on inside the box during a set piece.
And same with handballs, like in the Celtic one. I don't know if that one,
the
Celtic game was a handball at all.
Yeah,
who knows what a handball is?
It's going to be one of the big talking points, I think, for teams. Jose Mourinho looks like it's all but done, heading back to Real Madrid.
And boy, do they need him, because
if someone can deal with egos, it's someone with the biggest ego.
Mbappe acts like he's the king, Chiaomani and Valverde hate each other. Valverde was sent to the hospital because apparently Chiaomani punched him and Valverde hit his head on the table.
Yep.
Apparently, Rudiger's been fighting with teammates and Mbappe's been fighting with staff.
There's a petition of over 40 million signatures to get Mbappe out of the club.
Like the whole Real Madrid feels like a soap opera.
Well, not only that, but now Perez, the president of the club, is calling on anyone who wants to replace him to step up and whatnot. He went on an absolute rant press conference. This is going to be another one of those seasons where not only do they not win any hardware, but Barcelona won the league in a game against them.
That's right. Include Marcus Rashford scoring
injury, right?
Yeah. I mean, wow, like Real, when you have so many egos in that room.
Look, I'm a neutral when it comes to La Liga, but I take a very, very big guilty pleasure in watching Real Madrid crumble. I don't know why, but it makes me happy.
Everybody does who's not a Madrid fan.
Yeah.
You're either a Real Madrid fan or you're not, or you hate them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and according to reports, some players don't even speak to each other anymore, which is not surprising.
You know what? That club has always seemed to be a club of multiple camps, right?
Right.
Yes, we come together for 90 minutes and we play, but after that, I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah, it's like in the office. All right, we work together, but yeah, we're not going out for drinks after work.
Yeah, which I mean, let's be honest. For players, that's their workplace. That's fine, but you also got to still be cordial to one another, and I don't even think they manage that.
Yeah, don't fight each other.
I know, that's just stupid. One or both of those players need to be just gone from the club.
A bunch of players, I think.
A bunch, yeah.
Especially with
Eddie Mourinho coming in. I don't know. I think we might see some good old-fashioned 1980s discipline.
Yeah. Back to England. The championship final looks to be postponed due to Southampton apparently spying.
Yeah, so this was bizarre. Leading up to the semi-final for the promotion race for in the championship, Southampton was accused of spying on their opponents. I believe it was Millwall. Now, apparently, Millwall's training ground is where this happened. And apparently, it's really easy. There's like a whole bunch of hills and whatnot. So it was basically just a dude and a cell phone standing on one of the hills filming it.
Yeah.
Now, it looks like there could be an independent disciplinary commission that will take place before the final will take place, where with Southampton is supposed to be playing it against
Hull City.
Yeah, Hull City.
Laren versus Liam Miller.
The thing is from what I'm hearing, it could be that they just don't even allow Southampton to be promoted. Like that could be their punishment. Now, the thing is this happened before with Bielsa, and wasn't he managing Hull at the time?
Or Leeds.
Leeds, thank you, at the time. And they got a pretty hefty fine, but that was all that happened. They didn't even get points deduction or anything like that. So there is precedent for this, but I do wonder, being that this is a playoff promotion on the line, and we're talking hundreds of millions of potential dollars in what you get when you get promoted, I do wonder if Southampton ends up being a bit of an example and a cautionary tale.
I wonder that too, and wonder. This story is still developing, so
yeah, we don't right now. We don't know. It's going to be up to this disciplinary council, and I think they can make recommendations. They're not the be all end all. That is
that final seems like it still be happening.
Yeah,
on the 23rd. So we'll see where that goes. And sobering news, scary news for Canada. Alphonso Davies has picked up another hamstring injury, reportedly out 4 to 5 weeks. His World Cup's in jeopardy.
I mean, put it this way. If you're part of the men's national team for Canada, it's kind of like, okay, Davies hasn't played for the team in over a year.
Yeah.
So it's not like you've lost anything. You've been doing this already. You've already been preparing to not have him. Yes, it would be phenomenal if you had him. He is the guy. He is your captain. He is arguably, your marquee player.
He is, yeah, he's the
But
face of
you
the
haven't
team.
had him. It's like the Ryan Gold Whitecap situation. When
Yep.
he is there, he makes you better, but you're good
Without,
regardless.
yeah. Even though this is the World Cup.
The thing that I worry about is Alphonso Davies himself.
I worry about his career.
Apparently, this has been taking a real mental toll on him.
It has.
And
Company spoke about
I
this.
get it.
Like, he's worried about the mental state.
Like this just keeps happening. And then you worry about the physical thing of like, what is life going to be like when you leave football?
I really do worry about his career. Yeah.
The number of injuries that you have had. I mean, at some point you got to think like, I got to take care of myself.
Yep. And
this
would be a huge blow for everybody.
This sucks. But I will say it sucks more for the individual than it does the national.
It'll suck for everyone, but especially him.
Yeah.
First and foremost, if he misses the World Cup. Even though they're playing fine without him, they need him.
Yeah.
So that'll conclude this week's episode. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. I'm on Twitter, Joshua00, Nathan and Derek. Podcast at Terminal City FC. We're on Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube. Check out Terminal City FC there. All our articles for Air51 Sports Network as well. Big Canucks news today. Ryan Johnson is a new GM. The Sedins are co-presidents. That's something. And Whitecaps Houston Saturday. We'll cover all that. Any of the off-pitch stuff. More lead up to the World Cup and everything else footy. So that concludes this week's episode. Peace out.
Take care.